kind of a stand-in tonight for Freddie Hemmings. He couldn't name it. But I'm honored, of course. We owe a lot to Tommy. But Jim and John, congratulations. Thank you for raising the bar and defining excellence and paddling for all the young people in the world. Thank you very much. And for the endless work of Timmy Gard in our communities, building one at a time, better and better. And I will say that I have a special thank you to Timmy because of his decades of constant support for Hokulea. That there was never ever a time that we would go to him for help that he would deny us. And I will just say that worldwide voyage is a dangerous thing to do. It's all about leadership. And without him supporting Bruce Blankenfield, it's easy to say let's go. It's harder to execute it. And without Bruce, we could not have done it. Bruce Blankenfield, top navigator, top captain, the best in the world. And Timmy Gard is the one that made it happen. Thank you, Timmy. Congratulations. You know, Tommy was always a kind of a wild, crazy hero of mine. I mean, the things we take for commonplace today, the things that he did. I'm so glad to see Dale Hope still alive today, because I remember this crazy stuff that they did. And Aka needs to be in the house. Aka Hemmings, these things that the stuff that they would do would raise the bar. You know, it would force all of us to be considered being better than we think we are. And because Tommy would be the one that would go, and so many times by himself, out of the Molokai by himself, and you're nuts. And it's commonplace today, right? Because someone was the first to go. And so I was always deeply inspired by his love for the ocean, his almost fearless approach to a challenge, and the fact that he just treated everything with such great kindness. And the other thing about Tommy that I always watched was that, yeah, he smiled every day. He lived life with the belief that you can achieve anything. But I watched him. I watched him in a frenzied state, even though it would be hard to see that every child in Hawaii counted. And if we wait too long, we'll lose them. The ones that needed the most, that society supports the least, that was what Tommy was about. I remember this image of him like those pintails on the piece of paper, the little sticker, he stick it on his Volkswagen, the yellow Volkswagen he had, drive around, things are flying out the window, and he's going 100 miles an hour, because he knows time's not on our side for the child that needs us the most. And all the work that he's done that still remains today, his foundation, his work, and that passion of taking care of those who are less fortunate, that was Tommy. And my last many thoughts of him was, there was a time when I was that child, in deep conflict between an amazing dream that you get sucked into because you're in the right place at the right time to get onto a voyage and come into Tahiti and sail it back to Hawaii in the way of your ancestors, following nature and the stars. But there was a huge problem. With me, the conflict was that amazing dream that I was so blessed to have a chance to maybe be a part of, and the other side of me that was just afraid to go. Spent my whole life in the oceans, but never left the side of land, not on a canoe. And those early times in Hokulea, before she actually left, it's stories that we don't necessarily talk that much about, but it was fracturing. It was crushing, it was imploding, because there was no leadership that could hold that vision together enough to guarantee it was going to be safe. And it was broken because, in hindsight, that we started to bring parts of our community that would define success. That would be the scientists that would write their journals and write their books, and they would come from that whole perspective to fulfill mission. There would be the documentation teams that would be from places like New York and Washington, D.C., that there were National Geographic that had part of the mission. Then they had the crew that had to protect this canoe because of the light ports people. No training. Trying to bring these people together, and it didn't work. Things were falling apart. And I remember my great fear was I needed to go in the dream that there was a leadership that I could trust. If there's someone that I could believe in, if there's someone I could go to, and that person would help me find my strength in myself to get on the canoe when Maupiailu chose to go home in Tahiti. Because he was done with the absence of leadership. He could not function in a world that we didn't promote the best we could be as brothers and sisters. That all these other things that were in the way of great leadership, when safety was actually not the priority. I could see it, understood it. I didn't know where to go. Every one of us, I believe, in the arena of fear, find our own ways to deal with it. So my way was to project it. Project it out. It's like everybody else's fault. Give me an excuse. I can go home so I can be safe. And it was Tommy. Tommy was the one that came. And he said, get on the canoe, Nainoa. Get on the canoe. It's your time. Take it home. And it was that fearlessness and the belief that you had responsibility beyond your fear. That you had kuleana that was more important than you. That this dream is not about yours. That the decision you need to make is for every single, and I think in Tommy's mind was, you need to take this canoe, because in the end, this canoe, the beneficiaries of this canoe are every single child that doesn't believe in a dream, that doesn't have hope. The ones that we need to do whatever we can, and that's what he did in that yellow, crazy Volkswagen of his, rushing around as if there's never time enough to save every single one. That's what he was saying. Yes, co-founder. Yes, leader. But he was a great friend, great mentor to me. His teachings of leadership and kuleana will always be remembered. His legacy lives on that canoe. And I'm very honored to be here for this single moment. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more round of applause for Barbara Holmes and Nainoa Thompson. You know, often with public speaking, I just want you all to know how difficult it is for me to get back and speak to you after listening to Nainoa Thompson. Quite difficult. A trailblazer indeed, but you know, that segues very well for me for the next inductees. They're a brothers duo. They're John and Jim Foti, Lanikai Canoe Club. I have here, and I don't think